Thank you. I'll call to order the March 12th meeting of Public Affairs Committee. And pardon my voice, it's not working real well tonight. Let's start with item 1, the receipt of the staff reports for February. And big thanks to Alan Brown, Bill Salvatore and his crew, Laura, Walter. You guys are terrific multitask. So all of you, all the tentacles, all the jobs. Why don't we first ask any questions for property maintenance? Yes.
Hi. Just want an update from Alan on the technical and the sound issues over at Curtis. Are they all resolved?
Good evening, Commissioner. So Mike Rubin and I will be meeting over there again tomorrow. We have it on the calendar to meet over there tomorrow afternoon. We have discussed and kind of narrowed it down to exactly what we think it is, and we'll go past there tomorrow and try to make all adjustments needed.
Yeah, we have the legislative session next week, so hopefully we're there. So thanks. No attribution, blame, just it happens and it creates some chaos for us and for the residents. Some of us had to go too fast and we're afraid the chief was going to give us a ticket before we got to our houses. Thanks, Alan.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Property maintenance. Oh, Walter, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to bring attention to an item on my report about the cable channel. The technology that we use to access that channel is no longer accessible. The platform has been unsupported for some years now, so we knew that time was ticking. And Cheltenham School District houses the hardware. So we have shared that over the years, and I spoke with them, with Kevin Kaufman, Chris Barone, Josh Swigart over at the school district. They are going to pull the plug. Wanted me to let you know this evening. And both the township and the school district will proceed with using YouTube kind of in the way that we have been to replace the use of that channel from what it was at its inception.
Do you have any
Is that
idea how many people are still using it?
We're not able to. I know that there are a few out there, and so that is a shame, but we are not able to get those numbers without going to Comcast and I think maybe like the Nielsen ratings, but Telview itself was not able to get them for us.
So how are those folks, our son, being notified? Is that on channel?
I was not, it kind of came on surprise for me that just one day I went to add something to it this past month and was not able to access it anymore. So I'm not able to change the messaging.
Is it already gone or it's going?
It's not that, because the school district was giving me the time to let you know, inform you. So it's still running the previous messages that were there that are in my report. But once they pull that plug, I don't know that if it would just be a.
Yes, I guess my point is then they still have any access to changing the messaging, so that at least folks are notified and can have a clue.
There's no one that's able to change the messaging at this point. We can try to put flyers at our libraries, our recreation centers, just to try and reach a few if they're engaged that way and let them know that that's what happens.
Thank you.
So is that channel 42 no longer available to us?
That will be the case, yes.
Is there anything that we can do to then find an alternate in a discussion with Comcast? Is that something that we should pursue?
It's cost prohibitive at this point from the technology end. I don't know as far as the agreement with Comcast. I mean, that's still something that's probably higher than my level to be worked through. But as far as the platform we were using
Right.
as that middleman. Yeah.
Allison, are we close to that expiration or renewal of those agreements with both Comcast and with Verizon?
I'm not sure how far out we are, but we can take a look at it. I feel like we're not close to the end, but
Okay.
we'll double check.
But I would
Because
think that
for
there's
10 years.
an economic value and a loss of that service that should be put on Comcast as an additional charge or fee as part of that agreement. So I think, they're taking something away without compensating us. It seems to me that we're entitled to something in their network or, through their auspices, their technology auspices. I think maybe Mike Rubin, us should have a discussion and see if there's something we can extract from them.
We'll also be raising it liaison committee on Monday. So something else. Yeah, go ahead.
And
Hello?
did you call me?
Commissioner Rappaport, we're having a little trouble hearing you. I don't know that your voice, I think it's maybe your microphone.
Let's do that. Is that any better?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay,
It's
Commissioner
still-
Brockington.
Still muffled, but yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I
Lauren,
don't know what to do about it.
have you reached out to any other town? Because we're not the only township that has like that TV, that old TV style message board. Have you reached out to any of the other townships? Are they having the same issue?
I will do that tomorrow. I will make a note too. That's not something that I had discussed with the communications network in the other townships. I just knew that our own use was dwindling of it. We were not using it the way that we were with all of the videos once COVID hit and we changed over to YouTube. The school district stopped using it for anything other than their live streaming their meetings a long time ago. So, but I will find out and I'll get back to you.
Can you put something out on like the email folks, like an email blast out to people?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Chirica.
Yeah, I don't, I imagine there are some people who may watch this monitor, that monitor. I mean, there are fewer and fewer people who are watching TV by flipping channels. There are more and more people who are streaming. And so I think fewer and fewer people are watching this. And so, I mean, to me, there are definitely more people watching YouTube in our township than are watching Channel 42. So I don't know that it's that big of a loss. I think, if we can continue to provide, and you had mentioned YouTube, are we running that content on YouTube live 24/7?
We're not. I don't know how to do that at this point. It's something that we can look into. But I guess the theory behind that is that if you're accessing the internet, you may also be accessing our website, our social media, and those places that the graphics were actually with more information, because then it links you right to our website. Whereas cable, you try and get as much information on a slide, assuming maybe someone doesn't have that access. We know our libraries are resources for that technology for people who need it. And also to your point, Commissioner Cherico, in my conversation with the school district personnel, they were pointing out that even of people who are using, who are watching TV channels, some of the ways that people are getting it are through Hulu Live TV and YouTube TV. Samsung Smart TV is my own personal household, and they don't have that channel 42, that local channel. They might have your 3, 6, 10, but it doesn't stretch so far as to pick up that package.
Exactly. And if someone honestly, I'll say this, if someone has cable, the cable's more expensive than the internet. If you're looking at Comcast or Verizon. So I'm not, if they're able to see it on 42, I'm guessing that they probably have access to internet capability as well. So I appreciate that. I'm not as concerned about the loss of this. I didn't even know we had a channel, to be honest with you. So I always had Verizon, which I don't think has the 42 until I cut the cord. But I appreciate it, Lauren. Thank you for your diligence on this, though.
Thank you, Commissioner Norris.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. Lauren or Commissioner Cherico is one of those who was still watching 42.
Wait, who was? Who was? You were?
Lauren, if you could check, as somebody just asked, specifically check with Abington, because I know that they had a cable channel also. Friends of mine watch it there. I haven't heard if theirs has gone off at the same time, but they would be somebody to check with. Thank you.
I will do that. And just to clarify, I think I had a gut reaction to Commissioner Zingmanfell's question earlier about if Comcast was taking that channel because of the way it was phrased. So it's not on Comcast, though I think that because of our agreement, still having access to that channel, if we are able to provide a way to get content there, may be worth looking into. And that's why I will discuss it with the other townships and see how they're doing it if it was a different way than we were. But it is the platform itself that is outdated and inaccessible at this point, and which would be cost prohibitive to replace.
Good clarification. Thank you.
Okay. If we're done with that, let me just go back to Parks and Rec because I was going in the other order. I just want to thank Mr. Salvatore and group for also convening the first ever, I think, Friends Network, the networking of all the different Friends of the Parks groups. That was, I think, valuable and a good start. So unless there's anything further, why don't we, I'll just move the receipt of all the staff reports. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right. Item 2, the receipt of the committee meeting minutes. It says the Historical Commission has did not meet. Actually, they did prior to the speaker, the February historic event speaker. They did have a meeting. There was a quorum, although there were no records of that. We just wanted to clarify. So we do have minutes from the Economic Development Task Force. Any other comments? Not on that. They raised, in those minutes, they raised the question about the parking ordinance. If you remember, I think early last year, we were talking about special parking for the employees of the various businesses and setting aside places for those folks to park and various other things. And the minutes seem to indicate that, well, I'll just ask for a status report of that, that business. Ms. Township Manager, where are we? Where do we stand on that?
I'm sorry, I was on a message. I'm sorry, what was your request?
Matt, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I will. Commissioner Rappaport, it is something that staff has been working on. We've seen a couple different drafts, and Commissioner Zygmunfeld, myself, Megan Hart, and Township Manager Elliott have a meeting scheduled for a week from today to review the draft and provide feedback. So it is continues to be a work in progress, but I think we're getting to a point where it'll come before the board or one of the committees in the next month or so.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Chirico.
Sure. I'm looking forward to seeing that as well, and I hope the permit rates are very reasonable. The second question from the EDTF meeting, there was a mention that some of the heads of the meters might be removed, but the poles might be staying. Can you, Township Manager Elliott, explain what that might be and why we're doing that?
Yeah, we're looking into retaining the poles as security measures for public events.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you explain how poles could be helpful for security measures?
Sure. So we're looking at, in light of a number of different, events where we've had people driving cars into crowds and stuff like that. So we're trying to look at locations where we can hardscape our commercial districts in order to prevent situations like that. It's a pretty expensive proposition. So we're looking at assets we already have on the street, and our meters poles are an asset that we're looking at the moment.
And
I
Commissioner
would-
Cherico, if I may,
Yeah.
we expect to have some reports coming from emergency management on strategies to ensure protection of life and property at various township events. So I think you'll probably get some more information about this sort of thing soon.
Yeah, I was just going to add that there will likely be a presentation at the EDTF meeting. I believe it's next week.
The idea of
And-
leaving posts sticking out of the ground with no meters sounds really unpleasant, and potentially dangerous to passersby who may not see the posts. So I maybe I'm misunderstanding what the intention is, but
Yeah.
I hope that's not.
I think
that's
you'll
not
get
what's
some
been presented.
like I said, I think you'd get some more information. We could
right.
sort of revisit at that time.
Okay.
We're gonna move on. I'll just mention that although there was no February meeting of the Civil Rights Task Force, there was a March meeting. It was very productive, and things are in store. Coming up later. I'll make a motion to receive, if we have no other discussion on this, I'll make a motion to receive the committee meeting reports, minutes. All in favor, please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. I'll move receipt of the staff meeting minutes from February 25th. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we come to the report on the Cheltenham Township Library System by the Executive Director, Mary Kay Moran. Welcome tonight, Ms. Moran. Glad to see you, Mary Kay.
Thank you.
and
Thank you
thank
for the
you.
invitation.
Thank you for sending materials earlier today. Really appreciate it. I think it was very helpful. So go ahead, the platform's yours.
Thank you. I wonder if I have the ability to share my screen this evening.
You should be able to do that now, Mary Kay.
Thank you.
You're all set.
Great. Thanks so much. So once again, I want to thank you for allowing me to have time to share about the Cheltenham Township Library System this evening. Our vision at CTLS is to enrich the community with services and resources, to engage our residents with educational and entertaining programs, and to ensure that everyone in Cheltenham feels welcome and included at all of our locations. We just completed our annual report to the state, and I'm excited to share that we saw an increase of 14% in the number of visitors to our branches over last year. 11,000 of those visitors attended programs like our incredibly popular Youth Chess Club and Adult Art Nights, along with our traditional story times, book discussion groups, and family place workshops. 37% of Cheltenham residents are active library card users. This doesn't mean that they have a library card in their wallet. These folks are actually using their cards regularly. We continue to see an increased demand for our digital resources, and we circulated The Women, which is a story about nurses in Vietnam. The digital copy went out more than 159 times last year. Borrowing of our physical materials is also up last year, and our Wi-Fi hotspots were the most popular item in 2024 with close to 400 circulations. Our libraries hosted over 15,000 computer sessions last year, and the number of Wi-Fi connections jumped 18% from 2023 to 2024. And we had over 200 people taking advantage of the opportunity to book one-on-one time with our librarians to work on technology projects. These projects ranged from everything from working on a resume to sending videos overseas to families, to applying to schools and universities or downloading library books. Some of our most strategic successes in 2024 included our preschool outreach. We are now presenting early literacy programs at preschools throughout Cheltenham Township. We've increased the number of STEM programs for all ages. It's not unusual to walk into one of our libraries and see robotics, coding, or other science programs going on. Our partnerships with local nonprofit organizations have allowed us to present enriching programs to our residents, including the income tax preparation that's going on at the Elkins Park Library this year, thanks to volunteers from AARP. And we have a team at the library that's using a special subscription software that analyzes our collections to make sure that they're representative of all Cheltenham community members. We've set a goal that at least 35% of our collection will be made up of materials featuring diverse characters and topics over the next 2 years. We've instituted a variety of stewardship efforts to strengthen relationship with donors and bring in new donors. And we've added loop hearing technology to our service desks and other tools to increase accessibility to our patrons with disabilities. We also purchased Translate Live devices in 2024 to help us communicate with patrons for whom English is not their first language. And to be sure that we can retain and hire our most talented staff, we've rolled out a number of initiatives around employee engagement. So we had some really great successes in 2024. We also have faced some challenges. It will come as no surprise to the commissioners that aging infrastructure at the facilities are one of our biggest challenges. Over the past couple of years, we've spent about $15,000 repairing the air conditioning units at Elkins Park and East Cheltenham. And we're looking at a potential additional $7,000 to repair the condenser at Glenside. We're taking a close look at what it costs to run each of our branches, and this is helping to inform us for potential cost-cutting strategies for the future. You can see from this slide what each visit costs at each of the branches. We do expect the seasonal branches numbers to go down this year, the cost to go down this year because of the way that we've restructured the system. And we're hoping to mirror our opening hours with the activities that Parks and Rec has planned for the summer. I've had some conversations with Bill Salvatore, and so we're going to be opening the seasonal branches between Memorial Day and Labor Day this year. And then we have some increased costs that we really have no control over. Our digital resources, utilities, and book printing costs are expected to increase this year for a variety of reasons that you can see here on the screen. For some more uplifting news, our strategic initiatives for 2025 include senior outreach. So similar to the preschool program that we did in 2024, this year we're going to be focusing on outreach to senior communities throughout Cheltenham. We're going to be meeting people where they are with library materials, services, and information. Thanks in part to a technology grant facilitated by Senator Haywood's office, we've been able to increase our library of things. This year, Cheltenham residents will be able to borrow a range of items from graphing calculators to telescopes to home planetariums and more. In 2024, we hired a marketing consultant to help us get the word out about everything that CTLS has to offer. And so you'll see some of those efforts rolling out in 2025. And this year, we've learned that the governor's proposed budget does not include an increase for public libraries. Additionally, there's a serious potential that federal funding for grants for libraries will be lost. And so our library board members are focusing on how to advocate with state elected officials to secure funding for public libraries. And CTLS has developed a community advisory committee of engaged residents who are going to help us with those efforts and with sharing the great things that are going on at our branches. Some things that are coming soon. National Library Week begins April 6th, and CTLS will be participating in our first ever National Library Giving Day. This is similar to Giving Tuesday that happens in the fall, and we are hoping to raise enough money to support all of our upcoming summer reading programs. We have developed an excellent partnership with TTF, and as a result, we've been able to present a number of environmental programs, including some great upcoming spring nature walks. So I would recommend that you register at your earliest convenience. Those are going to be great. And I would like to invite you to save the date for our kickoff celebration for the summer reading program. Kickoff is beginning on June 14th at the Glenside Library. This year's theme is Color Our World, and our librarians have planned lots of great programming for people of all ages. Summer reading is not just for children. So I want to thank you all again for the time that you've given me to present this evening, and thank you for all of your support for Cheltenham Libraries.
Well, thank you. That was a great presentation, and thank you for the abundance of programming. You guys have always been a terrific resource, a real asset. And before I ask my questions, I'll turn it over first to Commissioner Norris.
Thank you, Commissioner Rappaport. Mary Kay, I saw your presentation earlier this afternoon and was excited to read it and thrilled for the message. Your very positive message and your effort to welcome and attract all of our residents is very much appreciated. It doesn't, these days, I think it needs to be stated that being inclusive is very important in Cheltenham, and you are clearly implementing that message on behalf of Cheltenham. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we want to be safe and welcoming for everyone.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it. No
Thank
questions.
you. Okay. Commissioner Ziegman-Feld, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Mary Kay, just a question. In the public presentations that the Cheltenham Township School District recently made, the last one being on February 26th, they referenced about an expanded relationship and interdependence with the school district and the Cheltenham Township Library System. So I'm wondering if it's not listed in your partnerships or mentioned, are there some expanding roles that the library system is going to take based on requests or needs from the school district? And if so, based on the fact that, at least to my knowledge, we still have never really seen whether there are contributions from the school district to the library system. I'm just wondering if, in fact, they've asked additional support from the libraries. And with that, are there things that are going to incur costs, or that there are assessments that can be made by the library system to the school district for some specific programs?
Yes, thank you for the question, Commissioner Ziegman-Feld. The presentation at the recent school board meeting came as a surprise to me as well. I was unaware that type of partnership was going to be happening, although I welcome the opportunity, and I do have a meeting scheduled at the end of the month with the assistant supervisor to see exactly what they do have in mind. And you are correct in stating that we have not received any sort of remuneration from the school district directly to the library system in several decades, maybe 3 or 4 decades, if I read my history correctly. So without knowing exactly what we might be getting into with the partnership with the school district, I don't have answers yet, but I will return with those answers once I know what that partnership looks like.
Great, and it is of great importance that our kids use the library system. And if it's going to be incorporated into curriculum, if it's going to be something that is encouraged and advocated by various classes, et cetera, I think it's important that that integration not impose additional burden or expense on the library system. So I'm hoping that, in fact, that'll be something, since they were asserting it, I'm hoping that it's something that they can do on behalf of the kids that doesn't put any additional strain or burden on you. So thank you.
Yeah.
Great presentation, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, and that's another item that will be raised at the liaison. All right, Commissioner Lewis. You're on mute.
My apologies. Thank you, Madam Chair. Mary Kay, great presentation as usual, and thanks for all the good work that you're doing for the good of our young and older people, right?
Yeah.
Not just the kids. Quick question. Why is the cost per visit at Lamont so much higher than the other libraries? I think it was like $73 and the lowest was $8.
Yes, yes. That has a lot to do with the number of weeks that the center is open and the costs that we incur regardless of whether or not Lamont is open. So for instance, last year at Lamont, we spent about $63,000 2024, not including collections and programs. And that majority, about a third of that, was dues that we had to pay to the consortium that we belong to, and also additional E-rates that we had to pay back to the state because the library was closed. Our E-rates discount only applies if the library is open, and so we had to pay back. Actually, it didn't. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Didn't go back to the state. It went back to the network provider. So that is why we had 866 visitors at Lamont, and we spent about $63,000, and it's just simple arithmetic.
Yes.
We've done a lot of restructuring, so we will no longer have to pay that $23,000 or those E-rates back at Lamont this year. And we've done some changing around of how some of the other costs are structured. So we believe that we're going to see a significant decrease in that per visit cost this year.
Yeah, that would really be, I'd really be interested in knowing what we're going to do to try to reduce that cost, because it's safe to say, is it safe to say that Lamont's not going to be open any more days than that, right?
Correct, right. We'll be open the same number of hours per week that we were open last summer. And we're structuring those hours around the time that the summer camp is open, so we can catch people as they're coming and going. We did make the difficult decision to close both of our seasonal branches at Labor Day this year. And that is because we see an incredible drop off in the number of visits to the branches after Labor Day, something like 63% decreased visitors after Labor Day. So our highest foot traffic in those branches since they became seasonal branches is in the summer. So we're going to provide the services just during the summer this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and several people did mention some of the things that I was going to ask you. So I was going to emphasize, how wonderful it was, the commitment and the statistics around the diverse collection and that kind of thing. That's terrific. All the various outreach. Yeah, I was also going to say the reason the per visit numbers are out of sync, I would think, is simply because they're not open all year round. So you have such a limited, but that can, presumably once we open again, those costs will go down, and they'll be more in line with what the expectations are. I just going forward, and maybe you can do this and just send it to the commissioners later on. You have the number of computer sessions and also, and also the private one-on-one technology help. I wonder if you could also break that down by branch, by library, because I think that would be interesting. And then the other thing, I was delighted to hear the partnerships with TTF and with Parks and Rec. Certainly with some of the programming, I think there's a big overlap with Parks and Rec. And so I would hope that that gets more developed and there's more. We don't want to duplicate each other's work. Ideally, we're going to be coordinating that. So I hope to see more of that. Okay. Anybody else? Well, just a huge thanks again, and appreciate all you're doing. And please tell all the members of your team and your friends groups how much we appreciate them.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Come again. Thank you.
For sure.
All right. We'll move on to old business for public affairs, item 5. Anybody have any old business they want to raise? I'm going to ask for a couple of status reports on things that have come up over the time, and maybe township manager, if you don't mind, if we're going to see these things soon or whenever we're going to see that vegetation ordinance. Start with that one and mention the other two.
Sure. There is a draft that we have been reviewing and finalizing. I think there's been a few tweaks that we've been sending back and forth. Excuse me, I apologize. My voice is also on the fritz today. So I think the intention is that it will be on the EAC agenda for review next week.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. The trails ordinance. Or the trails committee, whatever.
Yeah, there's also a draft ordinance that we've been preparing. It's not quite ready for prime time yet, but there's a few tweaks that we've been working with Commissioner Cherico on.
Okay, so what do you think? Maybe next month?
I hope so, but we'll just see how things go. I don't want to make any promises, but yeah, I don't know how close we are at this point. We're still a little bit early and kind of working through some details on that.
Okay, and I'm sorry if it sounds like whiplash here.
Sure.
The other one is the status. We were going to try something with the pilot program. Are we doing any? Are we going to get that off the ground again this year? Are we working on that? And that may be just as much a question for my fellow board members as it is for you.
Yes,
that
that is the plan. I know we have a letter that we've been looking at revising it and drafting. I believe we have a draft that you had sent us. And we're working on kind of tweaking that as well. And hopefully we'll have something for you all to review before it goes out.
Okay. Any other comments on old business? All right, thank you. We'll move to new business. A, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners adopt a resolution declaring the township's intention to follow the schedules and procedures, disposition of records as set forth in the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Act of 1968 and the Municipal Records Manual approved December 16, 2008, last revised March 28, 2019. And there was quite a list attached. Township manager, maybe do you want to add anything to that before we start asking questions?
Sure, Commissioner. This is an annual resolution, excuse me, that we put before the board every year.
Right.
And basically, per the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual, we're required to let the public know what records we are disposing of. And we're required to dispose of them or we should dispose of them according to the schedule, because it opens us up for any right to know requests if we do not destroy the records. So it is a best management practice. So every year we provide a list of all the records that we are looking to dispose of so that we can clean our records and we don't have paper overrunning us in all our file rooms and drawers. So.
But presumably there are, I'm sorry, again, my voice is just not working. There are digital copies of these things. Is that, or at least some of them, ones that are required?
Yeah, so we do try to get rid of digital copies as well, because our electronic storage is not unlimited either. But we do try to maintain some of the records that I know you had asked in the past that might be relevant for cases or projects we're working on or of historic value.
Right. And for example, my standard one is agendas and minutes from past meetings and archiving those. So those are still, there is at least something archived from each of the meetings.
So there is a class of records that are required to be retained permanently. Ordinances, resolutions, meeting minutes are all part of that class. And there's a number of other ones that are required as well. So each, there might be some records we can get rid of after a year, some it might be 3 or 7.
Right.
Indefinite, so.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Ziegman-Feld.
Yeah, hi, Allison, I'm wondering, I saw, as Commissioner Rappaport noted, Exhibit 8 has 17 pages of records needing to be destroyed. So, and it shows that the destruction should take place by the end of 2024. So I'm wondering, what is the procedure? Have all those documents, and there's probably tens of thousands of documents associated with Exhibit A. What's the status? Who's responsible for both the destruction and overseeing the management of that process?
So it's not that they must be destroyed by the end of 2024. It's records that kind of expire at the end of 24 that meet that window. So now that we've reached the the end of that 2024 window, now we destroy the records that are no longer required to be kept after that date. Does that make sense?
So who in staff is actually responsible for doing that?
So it's each department is responsible to, and each employee is responsible to go through their records. And generally every year they're waiting for this. So they're going through their records and doing that. Sometimes we'll have, depending on how large a load of records that we do have, we might have a separate trip down to the recycling plant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'll take a motion to adopt that resolution.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. 6B, consider recommending the Board of Commissioners appoint the following members to the Township Citizens Committees at the March 19th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. Melanie Jackson of Cheltenham, Pennsylvania, to be a voting member of the Historical Commission. Chris Edelstein of Elkins Park to be a voting member of the Economic Development Task Force. Brian Chambers of Elkins Park to be a voting member of the EDTF. And Athena Huss of Wyncote to be a voting member of the EDTF. And first, let me say thank you to all of them for coming forward. And we really appreciate their interest in serving on these committees. I think they do valuable work, and we're glad to have you interested. Any other comments?
Do we have resumes of the 3 folks who are requesting to be voting members of EDTF? I haven't seen resumes. Usually we get those as part of the package.
Right.
We do have resumes. We'll make sure you get a copy.
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other new business for public affairs? Otherwise, we'll move to citizens forum. Any citizens of anything of interest? Tom Mullion, please go ahead.
Hi, it's actually Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
I'm having trouble with my computer this evening with the sound. So I jumped on Tom's computer. I just wanted to thank Mary Kay for the presentation about the libraries, and also Commissioner Lewis for following up on the question I wanted to ask, why it was such a high per visit number for Lamont. I see that Jerry Brown's not here this evening and no one else from the board. So I wanted to speak up on behalf of the group. And just as listening to Mary Kay and all the wonderful pieces that are going on for the different communities, I feel disappointed that the Lamont community is not had the availability of their library for 6 years now. And we seem to really we're getting caught up in a lot of questioning about how long the project's going to take to reopen full time. And I just feel disappointed that it's been such kind of a long road, and we're not even reassured that the money will be in hand to complete our project. So I just wanted to put that out there because we are coming up on 6 years. And that's a lot of opportunity for the students over that way that have not had their library open. So I don't know that I have much of a question. I'm just making comment. And if there's any news regarding the funding coming through, because day by day, everything seems to be getting cut. And we're still trying to be hopeful. But if anyone wants to comment on that.
Thank you. Ms. Elliott, do you want to try to field the updates on that?
As far as we are aware, the funding is still available. Our team, Megan Hart, is our grant coordinator, and she has been participating in regular meetings with the federal granting agency. So she has not had any indication that the money is not available. And we still have the CDBG grant as well. So as far as we are aware, the money is still available, and we're proceeding that way.
So what is our next step with the library, the construction?
So the board just approved the architects to move forward with the design specifications. So our plan is that they should be ready late summer, early fall, so that we can go out to bid. And there'll be, excuse me, sorry. There will be some public meetings along the way as we go through the final design process. And that's to be determined. We'll make sure the public is aware on those dates.
So there won't be any action on it until late summer, early fall?
Ms. Camerota, there has been
Mhm.
action on it. The board has voted to move it forward. The design is being done as we speak, and it's anticipated that the plans will be completed by the architects by the end of the year and shovels in the ground, I think next year or late this year. I can't remember exactly. So
About there,
hopefully that
yes.
answers your question.
I think the point is that we are on schedule.
Yeah.
Everyone regrets the long time it's been taking, but I think we're on schedule now, and we will see those design plans, and we'll be able to have some input before they go out to bid. So I think that's where it stands.
Okay,
So, thank you.
all right. Okay, thank
Anybody
you.
else? Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'll call for the adjournment, but meanwhile, stay tuned for finance coming right up. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.